What if Nezuko was a bad demon? Will the story of Demon Slayer be different, or will the anime have ended earlier because of no cute waifu? I found 3 interesting theories that answer all of your questions. But before that, let's have a moment of silence for the thought of Nezuko turning into a bad demon. I admit that imagining this cute waifu turning evil is an arrow to the heart, but it's an important topic to discuss. With no Nezuko on duty, we might see many casualties including Tenjin and even Tanjiro. But evil Nezuko can also play a major role in taking down Muzan. How? Wait, because all of it will be patiently described in this video. So now starting with our first theory, it's where we have a Demon Slayer anime with no Nezuko and no Tanjiro. You see, if Nezuko was a bad demon, she wouldn't remember her brother in the first episode. When Tanjiro comes back to his house just to find out that all of his family except for Nezuko is dead, he goes searching for Nezuko. Just like the original storyline, he's attacked by Nezuko. The only difference here being that Nezuko doesn't have her human memories. So she doesn't restrain a bit and attacks Tanjiro with her full potential. Tanjiro, being pretty vulnerable to his emotions at that time, can't gather any courage to fight back against his very own sister and well tragically dies. Seconds later, Nezuko is munching over the flesh of her own brother. And Gyu Tomioka arrives at the spot. Seeing the very scene of a sister eating her own brother disgusts him. He, just like the original timeline, makes a really annoyed and infuriated face, but unlike the original timeline, Gyu here kills Nezuko. Yes, that's right. With no Tanjiro to protect her sister and no signs of Nezuko turning into a human ever again, Gyu finds no reason to save Nezuko and hence slashes her with his sword. Now with Nezuko and Tanjiro out of the story, the rest of the story progresses very badly. Zenitsu and Inosuke mate at the final selection and pass the exam. But one of them meets his demise at the encounter with the Spider family. Zenitsu, encountering Ryu's younger brother, survives. But as for Inosuke, who now encounters Ryu along with his dad without Tanjiro, he's unable to hold back for much and eventually loses his life. Moving on to the entertainment district, Tenjin faces off against Upper Moon 6 with just Zenitsu. While Zenitsu was just holding off against Ducky, he's unable to do so for long and, well, sleeps forever. As for Tenjin, he too was not doing pretty well against Gyutaro. And now with Ducky and Gyutaro combined, he also dies. Similarly, at the Swordsmith Village arc, Mitsuri dies while facing off against Hantangu, and the list of dead people continues to grow. Muzan in this timeline would also never see a demon conquering the sun, and he continues to wander here and there desperately in search of the Spider Lily for 1,000 years more. Pretty harsh ending, but wait, that was only one of the 3 theories, and theory number 2 is where it gets interesting. Now here, we imagine Muzan taking Nezuko along with her instead of leaving her. As evident from the anime, not many people can tolerate Muzan's blood. And even for those handful who can do so, they don't have the potential to grow as skilled demons. After killing the Kamado family, Muzan recognizes the potential Nezuko holds and tags her along in his journey. Tanjiro, after finding his family dead, strays here and there in search of Nezuko and eventually passes out in the cold. This is when Gyu comes to the rescue and creates Tanjiro. After his conscience arrives back, Gyu gives him a hold of the story, just to leave Tanjiro heartbroken. But Tanjiro, as optimistic as he is dead stuck on becoming a Demon Slayer and finding a cure for his sister. So, the story continues as normal for the Demon Slayers. Nezuko, on the other hand, continues eating humans and gaining more and more power until she's faced off against an upper-class Demon Slayer. Now this might be at Mount Natagumo, where Nezuko was drawn to the scent of tasty humans. Here, Tanjiro, relying on his extraordinary sense of smell, finds Nezuko, but is heartbroken to find out that Nezuko is feasting on a fellow Demon Slayer. This fellow Slayer is none other than Zenitsu. In the original timeline, when Zenitsu had this epic showdown against Ryu's smaller brother, he was too fatigued. He didn't have the energy left to move even a muscle. And well, that's the part where evil Nezuko jumps in and starts eating Zenitsu. Also, I forgot to mention, in this timeline, Zenitsu never developed a crush on Nezuko. Coming back to the heartbreaking scene of Nezuko munching on her lover in another timeline, Tanjiro gets emotionally disturbed. He gets a pretty hard trauma, and he's neither unable to attack Nezuko nor defend her from any attacks. Nezuko, catching sight of another human, immediately pounces on Tanjiro, but waits. fortunately, help arrive just on time. And with enough effort, Shinobu Kocho kills the powerful demon Nezuko. Tanjiro, some weeks later, recovers from the trauma and he's even more determined now to avenge his sister and end the sad story of humans turning into demons once and for all. But without Nezuko, Tanjiro faces some real difficulties in his journey. At the entertainment district, Tanjiro, and Inosuke are able to kill Upper Moon 6, but at the cost of Tenshin's life. Yeah, that's right, with no healing powers of Nezuko, the wounds Tenshin sustained during the fight were too great to live with. And here we have to say goodbye to our dear flashy Hashira. Moving on, the story progresses pretty much like the original timeline, but of course, with no charming sides of Nezuko-chan. That alone is a reason to worry much. And now to our last and most interesting theory. This is where Nezuko as well as Tanjiro live, and we have a relatively happy ending, but the anime gets dark as hell. In this timeline, Nezuko fights off against Tanjiro in the beginning. Fortunately enough, Tanjiro survives. Giyu arrives just in time to save Tanjiro from being killed, and then Giyu hunts down Nezuko. But with Tanjiro restraining him, he's unable to do so, and Nezuko is able to run. Giyu informs Tanjiro about the situation, but not in a pretty polite manner. So the story continues just like the previous timeline. Nezuko keeps on getting more powerful by eating more and more humans, and soon enough, she's touching the ranks of the lower moons, if not the upper moons. Tenshin, just like the previous timeline, dies in the entertainment district. And at the Mugen Train, we also have more casualties, since Nezuko is off duty protecting people on board the train. The trio of Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke also continue to improve together in their journey. Nezuko, on the other hand, is the only alive lower moon now, and she also gains her powers exceptionally by receiving more and more blood from Muzan. Continuing on to the Swordsmith Village arc, here we see an interesting divergence from the main timeline. Instead of Hatengu, Nezuko goes to inspect the spot along with Gyoku. While Muichiro succeeds in killing Gyoku, we see some trouble in Tanjiro, Mitsuri, and Genya dealing with Nezuko. Genya tries to shoot down Nezuko, and of course, Tanjiro is the one protecting her. Meanwhile, Mitsuri arrives at the spot just to enter a meaningless fight where Tanjiro is not letting anyone attack her sister. This trio also sustains heavy injuries due to Tanjiro's incompetence, but they survive the battle. After the battle, Genya delivers a strict lecture to Tanjiro. He tells Tanjiro that if he doesn't have the ability to move on in life and do the correct things, he should perhaps leave the Demon Slayer corpse. Moreover, he's not the only one who has to go through the trouble of seeing a loved one turning into a demon. Genya's brother, Tsunaimi, also had to kill his very own mother after she turned into a demon. After listening to Genya's scolding, Tanjiro loses his motives to fight and, well, leaves the corpse. Just to go on some personal missions, from here, the story takes a swift turn, pretty different from the main timeline, where we have the Hashira training arc and the Infinity Castle arc after the Swordsmith Village arc. Here, we get only one arc after the Swordsmith Village arc. The main goal of Tanjiro's personal adventure is to find Nezuko and somehow find a way to cure her. Talking of Tanjiro's excellent sense of smell, he's able to do so. But Nezuko isn't in her true self. She attacks Tanjiro again and again, and Tanjiro is on the lower end here since he's not fighting to actually kill Nezuko. Just when Nezuko is about to strike Tanjiro with a fatal blow, Genya and Shinobu arrive. Well, they were out dating each other on the spot, just kidding. Giyu and Shinobu engage themselves in an epic battle against Nezuko that lasts until sunrise, and due to their competence, they are able to hold Nezuko in the sun. However, they were not able to actually kill her. When the sun's rays fall on Nezuko, she doesn't turn into ash, and this scene catches everyone off guard. Not to mention Muzan, who's exhilarated to see his long-awaited wish coming true. Shinobu and Giyu continue to fight Nezuko in the sun, while Muzan along with his demons is approaching the spot. All of the Demon Slayer Corps also unite together, and Nezuko fights against Muzan since she is a bad demon and Muzan is there to consume her. An epic showdown marks the defeat of Muzan, along with many casualties including Nezuko. In her last breaths, Nezuko revives her human senses, and as an atonement for what she has done, she plays a main role in taking down Muzan. In some alternate timeline, Nezuko might become the Demon King herself, but that's perhaps the topic of some other video. In the meantime, you can check out this other video about what if Tsunami killed Nezuko at the beginning of the anime. Click on it to see it! Click it!